AITA for telling my SIL that I've had 4 miscarriages when she said I didn't understand her loss. For a bit of context, I'm 34F, married, and finally a mama to a beautiful, lively 1-year-old daughter who is our absolute miracle. My husband, 37M, and I actually had an incredibly hard time getting to this point. Over the years, we tried, prayed, and tried again, and unfortunately, I went through 4 heartbreaking miscarriages before finally having our little girl. I don't usually talk about those losses. It was a painful, private journey, and even now, I don't like to open up about it. The only people who knew about our struggles were my husband, my parents, and my 2 older sisters. My husband's family, on the other hand, has no idea about our miscarriages or any of the struggles we faced to become parents. They just see us now, with our happy little girl, and think we were simply blessed with a child without any hurdles. I never corrected that assumption, and honestly, it never felt necessary to open up about it. Until recently. So, here's where things get a bit complicated. My husband's younger sister, 31F, whom we both love, is a bit prone to what I call the woe is me mindset. She can be sweet and kind, but she's always seemed to think that her struggles outweigh anyone else's and has a tendency to downplay what other people go through. Recently, she and her husband got pregnant, which was wonderful news for the whole family. But, sadly, about a month ago, she experienced a miscarriage. She's been very vocal about it, which is completely her right. I think everyone should cope in whatever way helps them heal. She's posted about it on social media, talked about it at family gatherings, and shared her grief quite openly. I've done my best to be supportive, reaching out to her, expressing my condolences, and listening when she needs an ear. I understand how devastating a loss like that is, and I genuinely feel bad that she's going through it. I can tell it's been rough for her, and I wish I could take some of her pain away. This all came to a head at a family dinner last Saturday night at my in-laws' house. We were sitting in the living room, and my SIL was once again talking about her miscarriage. My daughter was on my lap, playing with her toys, and obviously had no clue what was going on. But then, as my SIL continued to talk, she started to cry. And because kids are intuitive little souls, my daughter noticed and immediately wanted to help. She leaned toward her aunt, clearly wanting to give her a kiss to make her feel better. She's still at that adorable age where a kiss fixes everything. I gently told my SIL that my daughter wanted to give her a kiss, thinking it might bring a little light into the moment. But to my surprise, my SIL snapped, "No," in a harsh tone. My daughter looked confused, hurt even, and I quickly tried to redirect her by asking for a kiss instead. My husband, who had been sitting quietly beside me, then commented that it was a bit rude to reject our daughter's comfort since she'd only been trying to help. But that's when my SIL turned and said something that shocked me. She said, "It's just hard seeing both of my brothers with their happy, healthy babies when my child is dead." She looked right at my daughter, then at me, and I felt my stomach twist. I understood she was grieving, but that felt like too much. I had never looked at my sisters or brother-in-law's children and felt anything other than joy and gratitude that they were in the world, even while going through my own losses. Her words hurt, but I held back and stayed quiet, hoping the conversation would turn soon. I didn't want to make it worse, but I think my discomfort must have shown on my face because she then looked directly at me and said, "You wouldn't understand. You haven't lost a child." And that was it. I've been biting my tongue all evening, trying to be understanding, but that statement felt like a slap. Here was this assumption that because I was now holding my little girl, I hadn't walked my own painful path to get here. I should have let it go, I know that now, but in the moment, it was like a dam broke. I looked at her and quietly said, "Actually, I do understand. I've had 4 miscarriages." The room went silent. I don't think anyone knew how to react. My MIL, who was incredibly empathetic, walked over and hugged me, whispering that she was so sorry I'd gone through that. My SIL looked completely shocked. She stammered, "Why didn't you ever tell anyone?" And I tried to explain as gently as I could that I'm a private person and that I needed to process it in my own way. I told her it was hard for me to talk about, especially since I didn't want to burden others when everyone is going through their own struggles. Maybe it came across as passive-aggressive, but that was genuinely how I felt. After a while, things seemed to calm down, and we tried to shift the conversation. We finished dinner, stayed a bit longer, and then my husband and I took our daughter home. But then the next day, my husband got a call from his sister. She was upset, claiming that I was trying to compete with her by saying I'd had multiple miscarriages and that I was somehow making her loss about me. She went on to say that my comment about everyone going through things was minimizing her pain. My husband was actually laughing when he relayed her words to me and said she was probably just venting her emotions and would get over it. But I feel genuinely conflicted. On one hand, I know I could have let her assumption slide and just continued to be supportive without bringing up my own experience. I know her pain is still fresh, and maybe I shouldn't have mentioned my miscarriages at all. But on the other hand, I feel like her assumption that I couldn't possibly understand was unfair and hurtful. It almost felt like she thought my experiences didn't matter just because I now have my daughter. So, Reddit, AITA for telling my SIL about my miscarriages? Or should I have just let her believe I didn't understand her pain?